Hello guys, welcome to another session. In this session we are going to discuss about list collection type in Python. But prior to that we will look into our journey, how we have covered till here. So let's look into that. So far we have seen the Python overview where we have looked into the characteristic of Python. Then we have set up the Python environment. Then we have written our first program in Anaconda Spider, and then we also seen that how to run it. After that we have seen the variables, then we have covered data types. All these data types we have covered: strings, number, complex number, boolean. So all these things we have covered, and afterwards we have covered dictionary collection type. In the last session we have discussed this. Now in this session we are going to cover list collection type. So let's look into that. So for that we need to jump into spider. So this is a spider, so let's look into that. So first thing we are going to try that how to create list. So first of all we have to understand that what is lista. Lista is nothing but a mutable ordered container of other data types. So what does it mean? So it means that suppose if you are having a list 1, and if you want to create list, first we will learn that how to create list, then I will tell the definition whatever I have explained. So to do that you need to write item 1. See here, this is the string we are defining, and within that we can also define any number as well, like 45. So this is what it is telling, that by definition it is telling that lists are mutable order container of other objects. So that means in the list you can maintain a string object as well, you can maintain a number as well, and suppose if you are having a class, that also you can maintain within a list. So it is a order container of other objects. So this is the way you can create lists. So to create a list you need to specify the square bracket, and within that you need to write the comma separated value which is of any type of objects. So now suppose if you want to access the first item of the list, so what you have to do, you have to access the 0th element which is the first element. So if you run it now, here if shift enter, now we have created a list, and if you look into variable explorer you can find that we have created a list with the name list1, and that is of type list and which contains 2 objects. So that the reason it is telling size 2. If you want the first element you can run it, so it will return the item 1. Now if you want to access second element, then what you need to do, you need to write 1, and once you run it then it will return the second element. So this is the way you can create a list, and by this way you are accessing a list. So it is pretty much straightforward. When we work on actual programs, on that time it is very useful to use list. If we have collections of values, then on that time we can use list as well. Right now I am not explaining the iteration of list because I haven't explained you loop yet. Once I will explain you the loop, then I will also show you how to iterate the list using loops. So when I will explain you loop, I will explain you now. So I will be explaining you first. We will look into flow control. After that, once we understand the collection type, currently we are discussing list, then we will discuss about set, then we will discuss about tuples, then afterward arithmetic operator, there is another session, and after that we will understand that flow control using if else statement, and then afterwards once you understand, then we will look into loops. If all these things you will understand, that means you have completed 70% of Python, then we will start solving problems. So for a time being you just remember that how to create list, how to access element within list. So those are the things you have to remember that. So now we have seen accessing of list. Now we can look into how to add item within a list. So add item to a list. So how to do that? It is pretty much straightforward. What we need to do, we need to write list1 and there is a method called append, and here we can add item 2. Now you will run it. So see here, it added another item. If you run it here, list1, then you can find that it has added 3 items. Item 1, 45, item 2. So here you can print like this, print list1, run it. So you will find that it has printed 3 items. So this is the way you can append or you can add an item within the existing list. Now this is adding a item at the last, but we want to insert an item within in between some item. So how to do that? In a particular position I want to insert. So to do that, there is another function we will use, list1 dot insert, and where we want to insert it, suppose that at the second element we want to add it. So here item 3. Now if you run it, then you will find that, run it. So see here, item 3 has been placed in at the second position. Why? Because we have mentioned it 1. So it has start with 0 then 1. So 0th number item 1 and at number 1. So second position is represented with value index 1. So that's the reason it is inserted over here. So this is the way insert at a particular position. Okay, so now we will look into concatenation of two lists. For example, if we have a list 1 which has some value item 1, item 1, item 2 and item 3, and there is another list 2 which has another list of items. So for example, item 4, item 5 and item 6. And suppose if we want to add, give it a name list 2, and suppose we want to concatenate both the lists. So how to do that? So it is pretty much straightforward. So list 3, suppose we have created a list 3 equal to list 1 plus list 2. Now run it, it will concatenate. Print list 3, then check what is the value we are getting. So now you can see here it has concatenated all the both the list 1 and list 2. So this is what I wanted to show you. Now moving further, now we have seen the concatenation. Now we will look into how to remove item from a list. To do that, what we need to do, suppose if we want to remove, so it is pretty much straightforward. So here from list 3 I want to remove last item 6. So how to do that? We will use a method called remove, and here we need to specify which item we want to remove, and here we are mentioning item 6, and then we are executing it, and once we are executing it, now print it. So I will copy it and paste it here and run. Then you will find here it has removed last item 6, as we have mentioned to remove this item. So this is one of the way. Another way is that we can specify the position if we want to remove an item from a particular position. So how to do that? We will use a function called pop. So how to do that? Suppose if we want to remove the item 2 which exists at index number 1. So to do that, how to write? We need to specify list 3 dot pop, and we need to specify the position. So you will run it now, and then you will print it. So copy it, paste it over here, run it. Then you will find here the item 2 is not there. Why? Because we have mentioned that remove the item which is exist within this index. So this is one of the way you can remove the item. There is another way by using del keyword. So how to do that? Suppose that if you want to remove item 0 to 2, so how to write it? If you want to remove it, so write del, and then you need to write list 3, and from where 0 to 2 you want to remove it. So now you run it. Now if you will run print list 3, now print it, then you will find that these two items has remained now. So this is another way to remove the items. So this is what I wanted to demonstrate you in this session. So see you in the next session. Bye bye.